What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, a fan channel that represents the most authentic, genuine Manchester United fans. This is dedicated to you lot. So welcome to the show. Slightly different tonight. We're not going to do a news show. Usually we talk about all the topical stuff. If we've got time towards the end, we will discuss that. But today is going to be focused solely on the style of play. What the fuck is it? What do we want to see? What improvements would we make? Everything, absolutely everything, because it seems to be the hot topic at the moment. There's loads of people discussing all the intricacies, all the individual players that are coming in, and we've got a structure of 10 questions that we're going to ask. So the 10 layered format that we have is style of play. We've got the current style of play, not the style of play. Which key players do we think represent the current style of Manchester United? Tactical adjustments we'd make, historical matches. You've got kind of what role does the manager play in all of this? Are the aspects of the game where, Manchester United excels? Room for improvement? How do you think United compares to other football teams in the Premier League? Do you see any noticeable patterns? How has the departure and arrival of key players impacted United's work playing style in recent seasons? And if you were the manager, what changes would you make to get better results? So there is a 10-layered format here that we are going to go through with a fine-tooth comb and have a real chat on Real Red Stock about this real situation. So we're going to kick things off first, lads.
Yeah, I'll go with it.
You what, sorry?
I'll kick it on.
Yeah?
So basically, when we say current style, so I think we should first cover style of play. Basically means how do you actually see a team playing against most of the opposition. So like in the Premier League, you play 38 games a season. So you might see, of course, you can't be playing the same way over and over again. There will be minor tweaks in the way you play, or maybe the certain players you field in a certain game in respect to the opposition you play. But considerably, when you see a team playing for the entire season, you'll see that this is a brand of football that they're playing. So right now, if you see Tottenham, you'll see high line, very attacking and very progressive nature of, when it comes to their style of play. Aston Villa, it's very high line, it's compact, and it is very, very positionally aware, because they're able to cut off any team when they're trying to, make those runs. And we saw that against us as well, because we got, I don't know how many calls outside within the first half itself. When you look at City, it's more possession based. It is more press, oriented when it comes to Man City. You look at Liverpool, it's mostly press. And on top of that, it is very attacking when it comes to, playing as a counter-attacking style as well, because they are ones who bite possession back and then hit you on the counter with Nunez, with Salah and Luis Diaz.
Very quick, Claire. Liverpool's style of play, not to describe it in a technical way, is you give the 11 players a kind of monster and just watch them go fucking mental on the pitch. That's how I describe it.
For the entire 90 minutes, they'll press the life out of you. And that's why any team who tries to play out the back against Liverpool, they're going to be conceding goals.
Especially Anfield.
There's no way you can survive, at Anfield if you're trying to play out the back. And when it comes to United right now, it is reactive and it is survival based. It is reactive because every single team we play, our style of, the way we play changes. You look at the game we had against Aston Villa, it was a completely different way we played, if I have to compare it to any other game that we played in the season. The game we had yesterday, you can say for the first half, we still had an idea as to what we were doing. We were trying to but second half, we were absolutely clueless as to what to do and how to stop Tottenham altogether. And one of the major concerns in this team right now is, I think on the ball, it is still okayish. It's not as bad as it is if I have to compare it to, off the ball, the style that we have. Because off the ball, our manager expects us to win the ball back by basically having a front five pressing. So you've got two midfielders pressing and you've got your front three pressing at the same time as well. And what it does, it leaves Menu alone in the midfield, which we saw yesterday as well. And it leaves your back. It isn't even a back four, because one of the fullbacks is actually inverted and, he slips into midfield. So you've practically just got three players at the back and Menu alone trying to fend off against Bentancur, against, Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner, who are all, if you look at Werner and Brennan Johnson, they're all blessed with pace. So it's going to be a nightmare for a solo CDM to actually have a job against those sort of players.
And you saw that from the goal he scored
yesterday.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been crying out loud for it, that you should have a certain balance to it, so that at least two players in the pivot are actually left behind, so that even if you lose out on the ball and even if you don't win the ball back, it doesn't make as much of a difference, because even if you're not able to win the ball back, you've got players like Menu with a different midfielder who can actually shield that back four or back three, whatever is left behind at the moment. Right now, we don't have that, and our players are very bad when it comes to pressing. If you look at Liverpool, when they press, it's not like one player just bursts to the
It's
right,
all
one bursts to the
connected.
left. Four
Hmm.
players, they actually cut off all channels of passing, and that's why whoever is on the ball is under a pressure situation and ends up losing the ball, and that's why they hit you on the counter. What we do is Bruno runs. He just runs anywhere on the pitch, and then you've got Hoyland. Rashford jogs back every single time, so you cannot expect him to actually do a job there. You've got Garnacho who slots in from the right, and then you've got Dallo who tucks into midfield actually pressing as well. So now that you don't win the ball back with practically one, two, three, four players, Rashford is jogging, so you make it five. You only left with four players behind. And when you've got Johnny Evans as one of those players who haven't actually got the pace to be fending off attackers every single time, you're going to be conceding goals. And that's why one of the things that we saw over and over in last game was Tottenham just took two passes to end up in our box with every single attack. 1-2 they're in,
Yeah.
1-2 they're in. And Bentancur's goal was the absolute, definition of that. He just ran through because there was no player who was in their right positions. Everyone was haywire. Someone was way much to the right, way much to the left, and that's why if you see Bruno's heat map, he's supposed to be a 10, or even if he's supposed to be a progressive 8, he's never in those positions. He's mostly in at right back, left back, center back. That's the most areas that he actually occupies in the series of a game. So right
Yeah.
now, United, with the way they want to play, it is not sustainable, and not at all. It cannot work for the entire 90 minutes. It might work for 5 to 10 minutes, but the moment the opposition actually wins the ball off us, we are open to any sort of attack.
Right, I think we can wrap it up there, and that's everything covered. Thanks for tuning in. See you later, everyone. You know what, Dan? I actually wanted to ask you, and make sure everyone else get your comments in, because we are going to read them out very, very shortly. How has it evolved for you? So, for example, when you watched it under Ole, even Ragnick when he came in, what were the differences for you, if any, at all? Or does it still feel like the same kind of watch in that sense, especially this season?
I think there has been a lot of confusion with our playing style after the Ferguson's era till now, maybe till the last season.
Yeah.
We didn't had any style of play to be specific. Maybe more probably you can call it as like counter-attacking football. In the era of Oli, that's where we were all dependent on our attackers alone to give us the win and drag out some points from nothing. And that's where Rashford was hit, because all the focus was towards Rashford. So whenever we get the ball, use Rashford to make the runs, and we were wholly dependent on Rashford in Oli's era. But then when Ten Hag came into the system, I think Ten Hag is trying to convert that into what he was doing in Ajax. Like before Ten Hag, we never used to play highline, or we never used to press high also. But when it comes to Ten Hag, I think now slowly we are a bit improving, winning balls up higher up the pitch, and you won't believe that in this current season, we are at the top of the table when it comes to winning the balls high up the pitch.
Yeah.
And that has shown like we are doing good in that department. And what Ten Hag is trying to do, he's trying to win the ball up front. But that also is causing a problem, because when most of your like 4 to 5 players are pressing high, then that creates a big gap in the midfield, and which leaves so much space in the midfield. And that's where we are every time we are conceding goals, because whenever we lose the ball, we are left with like 3-4 attackers against our 3-4 defenders. So that creates a problem in the backside. And also you can see the formation has been like clustered. Like the attackers and the defenders are like clustered with in middle you can see a space. So it's like a two separate lines. So there is no like discipline in the midfield. And but slowly I can give that credit to Ten Hag for like bringing this team to win the ball high up the field. But then again, that is also causing some problem at the back end. But yeah, if we have the right players in that setup, then I can see that giving us more positives in the coming days if we are more disciplined in the midfield area. Like we do, like it's like every time when you press high, there is a risk, and most of the time we are conceding those risks rather than like taking advantages of that. And that's like a contrary also when you say that you are top of the table when it comes to winning balls high up the pitch, and then you see that we are not scoring goals as well. So it's like totally contrary. No one will believe that. But that's what it's happening. We are not able to take an advantage of winning balls high up the pitch. But Alex Ferguson era, he used to win the balls in the midfield. I mean, in the mid of the field, like in the mid of the like 40, 50 meters. And but now Ten Hag is trying to win the balls at the 70 meters area. But then that brings a risk in that. But yeah, in the coming future, if he can discipline the midfield, then it can give us some style of play.
100%. You both make fantastic points there. I put a picture up which kind of adds to your point there in the pros and cons yesterday. There was a picture of the passing networks. Any of you used to seen them?
Yeah.
Between both teams. Tottenham's looks structured perfectly. Each player with the gaps in between. Ours is just like, it's like fucking blue tack. It's just spread everywhere across the pitch. Like people just fucking making mad runs.
It looks so similar if you compare it to Newcastle's, heat map on passing as well. Both those teams, Newcastle and Tottenham, when it comes to their passing and with the player positioning, they're both quite structured. And I think any team right now, if I have to compare it to United's, the best thing about them is their formation is quite settled. From the back as well, from midfield, from the attack as well, because there is one thing that your attack is not scoring goals, your midfielders are not performing to the level. It's a completely different thing that you've still not stabilized your 11 altogether when it comes to just being in the right positions on the pitch, and that I think that's a big concern.
Yeah, 100%. We've got another 9 to get through. It took us 15 minutes for the first one, so let's just go through.
Sure.
The second question that we posed was, which key players do you think best represents the current playing style? So when we talk about United now, the way we play, who springs to your mind straight off the bat?
For this version of play, I think Lisandro is definitely perfect because with the way he is on the ball, he came on for like half an hour and we saw what he's actually capable of and what sort of a difference he actually makes it by just his presence on the pitch. And you can, if you compare it to Lisandro at the start of the season, you can just clearly figure out that genuinely something was not right with him when it came to fitness, because he was just not able to function properly against a team like Tottenham with the kind of momentum they were on in that game. He came on, and the confidence with which he played as well at the back in very risky situations, it just showed that he's very confident. When it comes to his 1v1s, he's one of the best centre backs in the league. And when it comes to distributing the ball when you have to play the ball from behind as well, he's one of the he's arguably one of the best we've got in the business. So I think Lisandro definitely fits in it. Except that I don't see anyone fit in midfield actually fitting that role right now. You can say on the basis of work rate that Bruno might fit, but except that, I just don't think the midfield is stabilized enough to have any player actually functioning in there right now. Attacking wise, I think Garnacho fits because he's very versatile. He can play off the left, he can play off the right, and he's very direct in his approach. He's not one
hard working. As well off the ball.
One thing with Rashford as well as Antony is they take too long on the ball. Like even with Rashford, they take too long on the ball. Garnacho is quite direct, and we saw it in the ending stages of the last game as well. Got the ball. I think Bruno won it high up once again somehow in the last moments of the game. Played it to Garnacho. Garnacho crossed it in McTominay and ultimately missed it. But you see that Garnacho is quite direct with it. So, and Højlund I think is very good when it comes to his hold-up play, when it comes to interlinking in the box. The short passes as well with which he plays, like inside the box when you've got like that 1 or 2 second window. The short passes that he plays, he can play anyone in that sort of in that sort of a moment. So I think Højlund fits, Garnacho fits. Midfield, I don't see anyone fitting right now, and in the back line right now, I only see Lisandro and Varane actually fitting. That rest,
for sure.
Everyone is question marks.
If we're to flip that on its head, Dan, what players in the past have we seen kind of turn to when the going gets tough, backs against the wall, and why do you think it's them specific players that we end up playing consistently?
I think because of this current structure, that's where it brings me to I would say that would be the last player I would put that on the pitch. But Ten Hag likes him. I would say that McTominay like the lot of running around that is required in this setup, that McTominay only fits in that bill, and also the Bruno Fernandes thing. So
Yep.
they both never gets injured and they keep running around up and down the pitch. And Ten Hag style demands that, like, you have to go up and down the pitch. But personally, I'm not fan of that. But what else we can say? We don't have any other players who can do that job, and then Ten Hag has to rely on McTominay to do that job. And if you see that Eriksen, he's like one of the intelligent player that we have in the squad, but then he lacks that stamina and that the pace. So he's like only for that 60 minutes mark. Then you have to look out somewhere else to bring in that energy into the play, and that's where we end up bringing McTominay. So I think that's where we are also lacking to create a proper structure and proper style of play with the players like McTominay specifically. I'm not like targeting him, but I'm like,
No, it's true. It's true.
yeah, like that has actually blocked us to give us the full potential of that particular squad. And yesterday, if we could have bring in Casemiro in place of McTominay, I think he would have given more chemistry in the midfield rather than just having to go just because when he came, it was like somewhere around 70s.
Yeah.
I think it was 60 or 70. So that's not the mark we would like to bring. Like, you have to go all out on attack. But that was the point when you needed to stabilize the play. But that's where Ten Hag is also has his mind up on McTominay. And I'm not sure whether maybe a more technical, more intelligent player with that with McTominay's energy. Yeah, with McTominay's energy, that would be really great for the structure.
Yeah, we are absolutely crying out for someone like that. And I know the four positions that have been mentioned again is a number 8, a striker. I think it was a centre back and a right back. I might be misquoting that, but I'm pretty sure they were the 4 options it was looking at. But rather than individual players, Shreyas, what, in your opinion, what tactical adjustments would enhance United's performances on the field right now? What do you look at and you think, if these just do that, that would be better? If we didn't do this, that would be better?
I think right now, take pressing out of the equation altogether, because we don't have, you don't have the players to actually be pressing on the front against teams. I think for pressing, you need much more sync, much more coordination, and you need players who know where they will be off the ball as well, not just on the ball, off the ball. You must know that this player is going to be tucking in from here. I need to be, marking the man from behind, because we've seen this so many times. Our players are, even when they're trying to, press coordinately, one of the players is off, and one of the midfield runners, they just get a cutback and they just run through and score a goal. We've seen it throughout the season. How many times? It's the same mistake over and over and over again, and we still concede goals of that. So I think personally, take this pressing out, completely out from the midfield, and I would say just revert to a more structured midfield. Have 2 players actually staying back. Don't let Bruno just be running around all over the pitch, because it doesn't get the best out of Bruno. Let him play as the 10. Allow him to actually be feeding, Højlund up top, because I still remember when Bruno came, we just signed him. He was playing as an out and out 10. You could see McTominay and Fred actually playing behind him, and he was given the liberty to, just play as the 10. And he interlinked so well with Martial. Martial, I think, ended up that season with 23 goals or something in the Premier League. So allow Bruno to actually play the way he actually can play the best for us, and has actually played the best for us in the past 2 seasons as well. Allow him to play as the 10. Let Casemiro sit alongside Menu, because it's not like they don't have the ability to pass the ball forward and just pass sideways or pass backward. They're both very good when it comes to their passing play as well. So
they could both play as an 8, couldn't they?
Exactly.
One could push up.
They're both quite decent. Especially Casemiro moving forward is actually very, very decent. So just let the midfield just structured. No need to press out, because your wingers aren't going to be pressing either, apart from Garnacho or Antony. So just take pressing out of the picture. Let the team just play the way we have actually seen them play last season as well. Because I still remember last season when we had the midfield of Casemiro, Fred, and Bruno, or Eriksen or Bruno. There have been games, especially against teams who play a low block as well. We've had 60 or 65% possession against those teams, and we've done quite well on the ball as well. So allow us to actually just play that way. Let just stabilize the system a little bit. The core of your team, which is Shaw, Bruno, Casemiro, and Lisandro Martinez, let them actually be allow them to play in a system which gets the best out of all of these players, because they are very, very important to how United play on the pitch.
In fairness, though, Dan, he has. I absolutely agree with Shreyas, but he's almost had to facilitate, because if you want to play a high line and you've got Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, you can't play a high line, can you? Because they'll just get absolutely crumbled. But you saw Johnny Evans last night try to step into midfield. Jesus Christ, like a bag of sand, just could not move at all. So that's been an issue on it. Why we talk about injuries so much? Like, how can you commit to play a certain style if you have Eriksen instead of Mount? With all due respect, the engine isn't there, or Maguire's in the back line. Like, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see like don't remind me of the high line, because when we played Liverpool last season and Maguire and Lindelof was playing high line, that was the scariest thing I've ever seen like in the last couple of years. Yeah, but if you have to play high line, then you have to play those kind of players who can actually make less mistakes. If you make a lot of mistakes, then you are prone to allow the opponent team to have a counter attack, and then you have defenders who are not having that pace to track back. So that's where even I would love to have Casemiro and Kobe Mainoo in the midfield, just to fill that midfield with something like to make that midfield area a little busier. And when it doesn't, like, it may look like on papers like starting Mainoo and Casemiro look like more defensive. But you have seen that Mainoo has that ability to make long balls and make like early crosses and give intelligent passes. And also to add on that, we have seen like Ten Hag in this season has tried pitching in the wing backs towards the midfield, like how Klopp used to do with Alexander Arnold, and that's what I can see. Like Ten Hag has tried multiple times this season. With Luke Shaw in the starting of the season, when he was being chucked into that midfield area while attacking, and now we have seen in the last few games Dalot was taking that place. So when you start Casemiro and Mainoo, then you can definitely have one of that players go up higher the pitch, and then Dalot can take the place of that defensive midfielder, and that's where you want to fill that midfield with at least 2 to 3 players. Then you will get the structure right in that midfield, and that you can not be that prone to counter attacking as we are now.
You know what? You're both making very fucking good points. Absolutely spot on that. Anyone who's watching United this season knows what these two are saying is absolutely bang on, because it's spot on.
We have gone through a lot of.
Yeah, we've watched enough evidence and analysed it enough every single day to a point where we know exactly what's going to happen with this team. We know what we're going to play. We know what individuals are going to, be a hindrance to the system. We know everything. We're basically Erik Ten Hag, really. I'm not far away from it at this point with the amount of analysis that we've done. Let's just a question for both of you. If you're looking at historical matches, right? I'll go to you first, Shreyas. Are there specific games for you that epitomise the ideal style or the ideal Man United style? Like, what's a game you've watched where you've been like, thank fuck, that is how I want us to play. That is the definition. That is everything I want to see in terms of, whatever it is you want from a football match.
I think Villa was definitely one of those games this season where I actually saw this is the way we actually want to play. Just pinging the balls around from the midfield, especially to our wingers, and wingers trying to actually, score the goals, making those runs forward. Our, striker as well actually getting service, for a change as well. So I think Villa definitely is one of those games. I think last season, the game we had against Leicester, where we ended up winning 4-1, where Bruno was playing right wing and he was just playing the ball over the top to Rashford. He was just blitzing through every single time.
One of only games where he was decent at right. Well, for me personally, I'm not a massive fan of him on the right wing, but that game he was really, really good. And
there have been games where, I've seen, and especially under Ten Hag, I think it happened the most, that, I've seen and I've gone that this is the manager who can actually bring us back to that level of football which we used to play at one point. It might not be like 100% copy of it, but certain aspects of it definitely, I was able to relate with it. But I think this season it's happened only once, and it happened against Villa. Except that I don't see any game this season where I've gone and saying, this is the type of football we want to play. But except that, I think last season there were a lot of games. The game against Barcelona as well, Weghorst, especially when he was moved into the 10, just disrupt the rhythm of the game altogether. I don't know how it worked. Still don't know how it worked, but it ended up working. It disrupted the rhythm of the game altogether, and Rashford ended up scoring at the Camp Nou.
Maybe we need to bring him back for Rashford to perform again, just do the running for him. Who knows?
I mean, And except that, yes, I think the game against Barcelona, I think the game against Leicester we had last season, and the game we had even against Liverpool at Old Trafford last season. I actually saw that, this is the way we want to play, because we actually played very well. Even the game against, City at Old Trafford as well. It was the very definition of how I used to see United play. You go a goal down, and then suddenly, the team just kicks up from one moment.
I'd
and
rather
then,
not, though. I'd rather us not go down first and then play like that. It takes a goal for us to kick into ignition, though, isn't it? That's the issue with this team.
But this season, whenever we concede a goal, it just kicks us down and down and down with every minute.
Yeah, I can say, like, historically, if you can compare with the previous managers era, with Alex Ferguson, I can see he had the style of play and he never used to play like a proper wingers, more like not like an attacking or pacey wingers. If I would have to put that in a correct sentence. Before Cristiano Ronaldo, before Cristiano Ronaldo, he used to play like he used to play midfielders on the wider area, and play with the two strikers, in which one of them playing as a secondary striker or like a supporting playing as a supporting role who helps out in the defense, and he play like Carrick and Scholes in the midfield, and we used to control games with using these two players, with Ryan Giggs on the left side, who is also helping, who is not going up ahead on the pitch, but he used to stay at least like a 70 to 80% of the pitch.
Balanced width, I think is what you're looking for.
They used to have that line of 4-4-2. So whenever you see whenever they lose the ball, also they are already ready to defend that situation. But one of the games which remind me was like yesterday, I saw that clip of Manchester United versus Tottenham 5-2. When United went down 2-0, and then we scored like 5 goals. So in that, I was surprised to see that we had like Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, Tevez, and Berbatov, all 4 in that lineup. I was like, how can we have that 4 attacking players in that one formation? So that was crazy to see. That was one of the game, and also that game against Manchester City with Rooney's bicycle. So these are the couple of things. But yeah, I can see in the current system, as Shaz mentioned, the game against Aston Villa, and definitely we cannot replicate what Alex Ferguson did because we don't have those set of players. Now we have like a pacey wingers and Bruno Fernandes, who is like a attacking midfielder rather than becoming a striker. Though we tried him as a striker, that was a nightmare as well. So. But yeah, we have to be like change the style completely, and this style which we are trying to build in this team can never be matched, can never be replicated from what we had in the previous year.
No, because it hurts.
Are different,
Hurts to reflect sometimes, doesn't it? Well, all the time whenever you look back, because we had such good players and such a good team. Now it's just gone to shit. One game I would definitely throw in the mix is the one against Spurs, actually, funnily enough, last season. Where it was just 2-0, dominated, had like 30 shots on goal, pretty even, kind of possession, but we absolutely dominated them. And I was like, there we go. That's
Casemiro and Fred dominated that game. Yeah.
Fred was fucking really good that game. That was like good Fred. When Fred was on it, that was when he played really, really well. And he had a fantastic game. I think Bruno was good in that game as well. Yeah. But again, it's flaky because it didn't happen all the time. It was just in moments they decided to play really, really well. If we bring it back, in fact, before I get into that, we can bang it on the screen. I'm just going to read out some comments. Simon Davis says, I can answer all 10 questions now. Until Sir Jim gets going, no one can tell what tools Eric Ten Hag has to work with. His bands are tied. I think he means his hands.
Yeah.
I've put bands because I can't read. And he won't be sacked until he's had a fair crack of the whip. As a Blue, I can see clear signs of progression. Okay, maybe slow, but they're coming on. I think it's a nice perspective. United have too many egos that need accommodating. That's the mentality. I can't drop him because he's on the most money. I'm not sure. That might be Sancho he's alluding to or something like that. Eric Ten Hag out now, says Lumen.
Yeah.
And Charles Sam says, I've seen all of our games this season. We need to stop making the game plan around Bruno and Rashford, for fuck's sake. It's a team sport. Also think that's a very fair comment. Speaking about the manager, what role does the manager play, do you think, in shaping this team's philosophy? And how is he influenced Man United's style, if there is a style that we're still trying to, get to that point? You look at the first season, Treyas, he had to adapt, didn't he? Because he tried playing out from the back. First 2 games, we got absolutely murdered. So he switched it up and we started getting results. But then it's like, well, okay, well, when do you make the change from that? He's already said, right, that you can't play that Ajax style with the players that he's got. So then why do you bring in Onana? Why do you bring in Lissandro? Like, it's a bit confusing, that, isn't it?
I think the thing is, right now, don't know how Ten Hag wants this team to function. Like, genuinely, I do not understand how he wants it to function. And if it is that way he wants it to function, with the way he wanted to start the season off with, I don't see it sustaining for an entire 90. It might work in spells for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but I don't see United being a team that dominate possession for major chunk of the game. We do give away the ball a lot, and in the system that he wants to play, we don't have the players who can win the ball back from the opposition and just turn it into attack. And on top of that, I just think every single team, whenever they look at United and they see the way we've been playing, they just play centrally. There's no need to do of actually playing from the flanks. Just play the ball centrally, because their players are always disengaged when you play centrally, and we've seen it throughout the season. One of the midfielders makes a late run and just goes through the box, and I think in that aspect Ten Hag is one to blame, because as a manager he's seeing what the major reason from which we have been conceding goals throughout the season, and that has been one late midfielder cutting through cutting through our defenses and just going through all sort of lines and scoring the goal. And yet he hasn't actually rectified it. Last season, when we used to see a certain problem in a certain game, one thing was that in the next game that followed, we didn't used to see that sort of mistake being repeated. And I still remember there was one game where Dalot conceded off not marking a man on his back post. But after that game, we suddenly saw him marking his men on the back post. We were not conceding those sort of goals. We saw that, we weren't the sort of team that make the same mistakes again and again and again. We were getting better every single game. This season, there seems to be, stagnation when it comes to the way we are playing. And I think that's the point which makes it more and more frustrating. Because as a spectator, you're seeing a team play and you're able to see what are the major issues in this team. It's not even a situation where you can go, it's just a game. It's just that sort of a team that you're playing against. It's just that sort of an opponent that you've come up against and it happened. It's been happening throughout the season. Teams like Bournemouth have been smacking us for, because of that reason as well. So I think the manager has to take some sort of blame, and this is the very manager who practically, after having the worst season that we had in our history, brought this team straight to third. So we all know that this manager does have it in his capacity to actually play a brand of football that can work in the Premier League. You don't come third in the Premier League without, playing exceptionally good football. So I still think that he can do a job, but for some reason he is not. He's still relying on players like McTominay, who haven't worked for so many managers, and he's still banking on him to actually get winners in games against teams like Tottenham who are doing considerably well.
Do you kind of have sympathy though with the manager, Dan, but in a sense, like if you're going into a team like United, you look at our best players at the time when he came in, the first players you go to, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, well, maybe not Sancho because he was an hour in, but Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, these kind of guys. And he's mentioned in an interview before that he's saying, I can't play that style of football with these kind of players. So it's hard to just say, right, get rid of Bruno, get rid of Rashford, because at the same time, United need to get results, don't they? So they need to keep their important best players.
Yeah, exactly. So if he has to bring his own system, there are only 2 options. One, just to replace all the players and bring the players.
Every single one of them.
Yeah. Just bring in the players which he thinks like those fits in his system, and which is not possible. And the second option is like to bring the current set of players to that mentality and change their mentality to his ideologies. And I think that's the area where he has struggled a lot, and that also led us to lose few players. I'm not opposing that, because that has to go. The head weight of the players were high. And those things has to be broken down if Ten Hag has to bring those players to play his style. Because before Ten Hag, we used to there are only few players who used to run around a lot, Fred and McTominay used to do that running job, and all the other players would be sitting on their own position and we waiting for their waiting to receive the ball rather than making any hard working rather than working hard. But now Ten Hag demands each and every player to work hard, and that's where we have had differences between the managers and the players, and that breaking that mentality and converting that mentality into Ten Hag's mentality is taking a lot of time and a lot of efforts and a lot of you can say the oppositions from the players as well. But slowly we can see that thing is coming up, but still there is a lot of mentality that has to be rectified here, because in the yesterday's game I could see many times whenever Onana has the ball, no one is making run.
Yes.
No one is making a run.
Yeah.
All the 10 players are sitting inside the United box and nobody is running and giving Onana.
They don't sit in the box when we want them to. That's when they just there's a ram ahead.
I was like, the game we were winning 2-1 and we go down and we get on the level 2-2, and then Onana is getting the ball and nobody is interested to make the run. So that's criminal to me. Like that too at the end of the game, like in 80 or 85 minutes, and when you don't have any time. But yeah, that mentality thing, I still think that Ten Hag has to deal with a lot of that headweight in the team and bring that mentality of bring that winning mentality in the team rather than having that attitude has to be dealt with in the current situation.
Okay, so if we're to do a pinpoint assessment, right, what are aspects of the game where Manchester United excel and what are areas of improvement? Now, this list can get fucking long, so let's not start, 15, 20 things that we can improve on. Shreyas, 3 things that we're good at, 3 things we definitely need to improve on for you.
3 things that we are good at: wasting chances, conceding goals through midfield.
So these are things we're good at, or
we are good at conceding goals.
Need to improve on as well.
No, but in fairness, I think things we are good at winning the ball high up. We are, considerably. If you look at the team that's behind us, there is considerable gap between us when it comes to balls went actually higher up in the pitch. That's definitely a thing that Ten Hag has improved, because we've never seen that under any manager since Sir Alex has left, that we're winning balls high up the pitch. Second thing that we've done well is, I would say, we've allowed young players actually coming through the system and doing quite well. You look at the likes of Garnacho, you look at the likes of Kobe Mainoo as well. They've come in and they're practically, the best performance on the field for every single game that they've been playing in, and have been match winners for us as well in so many games, even though I think Mainoo is 17 or 18 and Garnacho is just 19 as well. So for their age, the kind of responsibility that they have on the pitch, and to actually be, pulling that off week in and week out, it's a big ask for any young player, and they're doing an exceptional job of it. So I think youth players is definitely one, and their development is something that United have excelled at under Ten Hag, because he loves to work with these raw gems that just come through. He's made his bread and butter at Ajax, working with these sort of players, these young players. I think, except that, the third thing we're good at, not this season, not at all, but last season, was that defense was very, very stable. Defensively, we were very stable. Last season, we got third because of our defense, and we practically had one of the best defenses in the league last season.
We did, statistically. Yeah. Had the most clean sheets.
We had Varane, we had Lisandro, who I still think, as a partnership, when they're fit, they're one of the best to have, to actually defend.
I mean, how many games have they played this season, though? Like, I don't...
3. 2. They played 3.
Yeah.
And in those 3 games as well, 2 of those games, it's only stuck around for just 30 minutes. Only one full game. So
you can't build on that.
Yeah. And that's the core of your team pretty much from last season, Lisandro and Varane. So I think these are definitely the aspects where Ten Hag has come in and done a lot, because this has been one of our best defenses since Sir Alex, I think, definitely. Things we are not good at, we are not good at pressing at all. We are genuinely very, very terrible when it comes to pressing and winning the ball back.
Blue
second,
tack, remember?
Yeah.
Blue tack everywhere.
Yeah. Secondly, there is no sense of shape in this team in the midfield. Like, genuinely, there is no shape at all. It's very, very askew.
2-8.
Yeah.
1-6.
Yeah.
Big island.
Yeah.
Wherever the wind goes.
Have any of you watched Game of Thrones, by the way?
No.
Any of yous?
No.
Oh God, this analogy is so good as well. Anyone who's watching right now will know Game of Thrones. I think I might have used this before. There's a scene in it where all the White Walkers, they're fucking surrounded by like all these White Walkers that are like zombies effectively, and they're on this little mini ice island, and they're like, shit, what are we gonna do? And I just think that is Kobe Mainu when he's got fucking Benton Cole and all these players running at him, and he's like, where the fuck, for an 18-year-old kid to be dealing with that, you're like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for him.
Imagine we pull up against City in this fashion, and Kobe Manu sees De Bruyne just coming
That's
ahead
what
of him.
I'm saying. Yeah, Foden, De Bruyne, and fucking Bernardo Silva and at him, and he's like, just go, just go, go past me. Yeah,
and I think out of all the aspects, the worst we are at is set pieces, like on either end. Yeah. Conceding on set pieces, scoring on set pieces.
Lewis has just put that in the chat. Wasting set pieces, lol.
Like, I think every single game, we concede at least one goal of a set piece. Every single game.
Oh God, yeah.
So I think these three are definitely aspects which we are not just bad, we are terrible. Like there's no one who is more bad than us at these three things.
Dan, anything you want to add on to that list, mate?
Positives, I think Shreyas has covered it all.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised how Shreyas could bring out 3 positives.
I know, yeah, fair play. You know what? Fair play to you for pulling that many positives out, because I fucking couldn't have done that.
But negative side, I think there are a lot. I would like to see fullbacks like contributing a lot more, because you see in a successful team, fullbacks are the ones important, and that too in the futuristic football game, then fullbacks are the key players, and that is missing. I see. Apart from that, like there are a lot, but midfield again. Every time whenever we have a show, there is not a single show we have never talked about.
Yeah, it's so fucking draining, isn't it? Talking about it all the time, really.
And and also the substitutions that have been really bad this season. Like whenever we need a goal and we bring on a player that you like.
Yeah.
You're like,
Scott. Go on, warm up. Casemiro, you got a 5-time Champions League winners on the bench is going.
You remember the press conference that we had before the Galatasaray game, and McTominay was sitting like
yeah.
Like
and
this,
you just knew.
You knew he was starting, and the confidence that he has on his face that I'm scoring a hat trick tomorrow and just winning just for us.
This season, there is no more depressing scenario or a scene than I see Ten Hag speaking to McTominay in the sidelines whenever we need a goal.
Yeah.
And I really want to hear those conversations as well, because if he is explaining anything tactically, I just know that what McTominay is receiving is crash the box and just try to score a goal.
The one thing I will say about McTominay is I think the fact of, because none of our attackers were scoring at all, they had like one goal each and like one pass between them. He's looking at it, he's like, McTominay's the only fucking guy scoring at a minute, and I need goals, I need to win games, and that is going to be a detriment to the midfield, but if he scores, at least we'll fucking draw. So I think that's the only possible explanation I can have for why he kept playing with it. Now I'm sat there, I'm like, why are you still playing it? Like, Casemiro's on the bench.
Casemiro's on the bench.
Know what I mean? Get him on, push Toby higher up, and it's just bizarre. Fucking bizarre to me. Sorry, Dan, did you have any more you wanted to add on to before? No?
No, I think we covered it. I think we covered.
Yeah. Disco Stu says, I love that name. Improve Rashford's decision making to feed others across the box, and we might have had 2 in his first half yesterday. That is a spot on point. The wingers providing the striker. And just the simple passes. You see the assist that Sancho got for Dortmund? Did you see the video of it?
Yeah.
Goals like that, we never, ever score. Goals that we concede a lot. Just passes square to the box.
We did that last season a lot. Those tap and goals. We did it last season. This season, it's just
Rashford got quite a lot.
And even in yesterday's game as well, it could have happened again. McTominay, I think he came on. He had one shot. He was clean. Yeah. He took a shot which he missed, but Garnacho was on the right unmarked. Like, no one was even near him. He could have, if he just played a short pass to him, it was a dead goal, and we would have taken the lead there.
Yeah. Put your head up, have a look, put it in the fucking box.
Yeah.
K7 says, great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. Make sure you smash a like if you are enjoying the video. So far, we've got 3 more points to discuss. Dino Lewis saying, we've conceded goals from our own set pieces as well. Yeah, we're not good either way, offensively or defensively. We're really, really not. K7 saying there's no shape in the midfield because Bruno or whoever plays there, their pressing is shocking. He vacates his position, leaves 2v1 in the midfield. I spoke about this yesterday on the pros and cons. Spoke about it yesterday. Went out this morning. The Bruno's positional discipline is just mad. He's just like, he goes anywhere the fuck he wants. He doesn't even have it. He's a left back, centre back, centre mid, striker, all in one game. He just You have to admire the boy's engine, but at the same time, you're like, please stay as a fucking centre attacking mid as a 10. So when you receive the ball, you can play.
You can do your job, the job you know how to do.
I appreciate you putting in the work and you're covering for certain people, but you're a detriment to the team when you do that because there's no one there when we need you. That's a big issue. So absolutely spot on. Dino Lewis saying spot on with your pros and cons video this morning. Thank you very much, legend. Appreciate it. That was recorded late last night and edited late last night. So I hope people do appreciate that because I'm absolutely knackered today. Anyhow, number 7. How do you think Manchester United compares to other top football clubs in terms of their unique style of play? This one's going to be very, very interesting.
There's no comparison.
We know Shreyas with like most clubs near the top of the club, or even clubs like near the top of the table, even clubs like Brighton, you're talking possession-based, triangles, overloads, patterns of play, pressing. We're almost the opposite of that, aren't we?
Yeah, because we don't have a pattern of play. we just go with the vibes every single game. And the vibe is, do what you want for the first 60 minutes, then Lord McTominay will come in and we'll just pay
Lord McTominay? Is he a Lord now?
Yeah, he's Lord McTominay.
I'd love to know what he's done to earn that fucking title to become a Lord.
I mean, credit to him because, when you look at, whenever you look at McTominay, for some reason, he's confident in every game that, whenever he's coming on, he's going to score. Just when you look at his face when he's coming
he does great post-match, interviews. It speaks really, really good. But on the pitch, it's like, it's kind of apples
he's
and
got
oranges.
The attitude, and once again, I would never question his passion and motivation and work ethic on the pitch as well. He's just not got the skill set to actually do what we want him to do, and that's just the major flaw in his game. Except that, as if I have to compare attitudes in comparison to certain players, he's one of the players who knows how to be around the Manchester United club mentally, I would say. But except that, I think any team you compare in the top half, they're way more structured. They know what to do. There are 11 players on the field. They're on the same page and they know when to do, how to find others. And if the game is not going in your direction, they still know how to bounce back from it. They don't just down tools in the first half itself that things are not going our way, it's done, and just move on to the other game. And the second thing is, and this is one of the biggest things, you look at any top club, they've got a stable core. And one thing is, at United, we've never had that. You can, even if you say that Lisandro, Varane, Shaw, and Casemiro are a core, that core has only stuck around for like one season. You look at Arsenal, you look at Saka, Martinelli, Partey. I know Rice has just come in, but even if you take Rice out of the picture, Odegaard, Partey, Saliba, and the likes of Gabriel, they've been around for 3 seasons almost now. And that's how you actually build your team. You need players who, stay in their positions for quite some time, and then you knit the team around those players for this team to actually function. You look at Liverpool, Salah has been there for ages. You even look at Luis Diaz, he came in when Mane was there. So he had the perfect player to actually learn off from to how to play in the Liverpool way. Yes, they did vacate their midfield altogether, but they've got the perfect players who fit in that system as well. So Liverpool have a stable core. City have the best core, I think, in the entire Premier League, like genuinely, because Rodri has been there for quite some time. De Bruyne has been there for quite some time. Haaland's basically cheat code to have in any single team.
Watching De Bruyne come on the other day against Newcastle and watching what he did, it's just like we would never get. I love Bruno Fernandes.
I've never felt scared of any player coming on, but when De Bruyne, when he was coming on, I just, I had a feeling that City are going to win it now.
He doesn't even look like a footballer. That's the thing. Yeah. If you look like they've got him out the dentist or like a painter and decorator or something. Like but he's so fucking good. Like you just know he's gonna have an impact.
Some of those players, like there are only a handful that if you count them, but even their presence on the pitch, if they're coming on for 5 minutes, and this player is just going to rip us apart. He's one of those players.
Newcastle looking like that, they're going, oh, for fuck's sake, are you joking? De Bruyne off the bench. You're dealing with Foden and Bernardo Silva for fucking 60 minutes. Dan, sorry, you was going to come in then, I think. You might.
You're muted, Dan.
Yeah. He was basically saying De Bruyne's really, really good. I hate Bruno and Ronaldo.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't saying that. Yeah, go on.
So,
Other clubs, top clubs. Who do you admire, if you will?
top clubs, and like you can never. It's just simple to say like City and Liverpool have that. They for long. It's been like 6-7 years continuously. They are giving that same the effect on the pitch, and they had the style of play, and they are also replacing players with that same style. Like they are also bringing in players with the same style. But in our case, whenever we had a style of play and we are replacing with some other skill set players, then we have to change the whole structure, change the formation, and change the style of play. So it's all depend on like City and Liverpool. The teams like them, they have a like proper style for the long, like for ages. But in our case, it's like it's changing every season by season. So that's one of the thing I can say. With De Bruyne, I was saying like when I saw in the previous cup game of City, when De Bruyne played minutes, the very next moment I brought De Bruyne into my FPL team.
Yeah.
Because I know that this guy is like in every game he will have an impact on.
Played very casually as well. Just came on, passed the ball in, assist. That's it.
Do you know what football? Sorry, Dan. Finish your point.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what football I love to watch? When Newcastle plays at home, the intensity that they have, the pressing when they're on the ball, that's kind of football that I want to see. And I feel like United are trying to achieve that almost with the same intensity, but just don't have the players to pull it off. I feel like maybe.
When Newcastle have all their players fit, they have got the perfect setup to play that way, because you've got Bruno Guimaraes, you've got, Tonali will be coming in next season, Joe Linton is in there as well. So you've got a perfect setup to play that way. And another team, not in the Premier League, but I do admire their style of play a lot, is Leverkusen this season. Like the way they play, it's perfectly balanced and very attacking at the same time as well, and still unbeaten for some, somehow this season as well. So I think they're a perfect setup, especially with the way Ten Hag, if you want to see proactive style of playing, they are the ones who actually do that week in and week out and do it on a consistent basis as well.
I'm interested to see.
When you asked this question, I was about to say Newcastle, but then I saw that in question you mentioned like big teams.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I take your point there. It sprang to me because I remember anytime I watch them at home, I watch the PSG game or watch City against them, like they just something about that kind of St. James's Park. They're on it. Intensity is unbelievable, regardless of whoever's playing. And they have some young players in there as well who are doing, like Lewis Miley is a really good player, and they've got a couple others as well. Isaac as well. Sorry, I sound like I'm piping Newcastle off here, but Isaac is so fucking good. Like I love him as a striker. Can do everything. And he's a fantastic. And he may actually have to sell him because of FFP reasons.
I think it was one of him or Guimaraes and one other player as well.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Do you guys see any noticeable patterns? I mean, we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but noticeable patterns or strategies that United consistently employ during matches that you would tweak or change? So what's something either that really, really frustrates you individually or something that you would praise, if that does that make sense?
I have not got anything to praise, but one thing to criticize is not taking control of the game whatsoever. Like no matter who your opponent is, we never take control of the game, and somehow Ten Hag for some reason gambles in every single game. Like I get you want to win every single game, but there are other ways to actually win a game than actually just getting McTominay on and just playing him as a secondary striker.
Imagine getting an opportunity to get a question in a press conference when asking and you say that to Ten Hag, like, Eric, and he goes, yeah, and he go, can you stop bringing McTominay on? Can your only option or your revert to think just stop bringing him on? And I'd love to see his reaction to it.
Never going to happen. No. Like imagine we have a decent cup run in the FA Cup, and we make it to like semis or finals of it, and the game is at 2-2. Like genuinely, the game is at 2-2, and at that moment, you're playing a midfield of. Imagine it's a midfield of Menu, Eriksen, and Bruno, and you've got Casemiro just ready on the bench, like this is my time to come on, and then suddenly McTominay walks up.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. You must be like, oh come on, man.
Yeah.
no wonder they're frustrated. I'd be equally frustrated. I'm like, this guy has won fuck all. Nothing. I've won everything there is in the game. I've been one of the best centre defensive midfielders on the fucking planet. And you keep picking this guy over me. I don't get why. You can't give the goal argument or the assist argument, because when I'm on the pitch, I contribute as much as any cunt on that pitch. So please explain to me why. I want it in writing why you keep picking Scott McTominay over me. Give me a good reason. If you give me a valid reason, I'll put my hands up and say, okay, boss, no worries. Because he's not better at anything than me. Nothing.
No.
Not even debate. Nothing.
I had a feeling, but I was still shocked that he was given the armband for the Liverpool game as well. Bruno was suspended. He was given the armband for it. And this was the player who was... This was one player who was supposed to leave this season. He wasn't supposed to be here. He was supposed to leave. So it just said... Just left. Yeah.
Is that enough? So fuck this. I'm sick of this McTominay talk. I'm fucking going. We'll get back to him when I don't know what he's doing, but we'll come back to that if he wants. We'll move on to the next one. Shreyas, how has the departure / arrival of key players impacted United's kind of work playing style in recent seasons? So you look at the profiles that we brought in: Onana, Antony, Lisandro, Mount, Eriksen. Have any of them who have impacted the most, do you think?
I think Lisandro is definitely hands down the best. Like genuinely the best signing. And one of the best centre backs in the league. Like no debate on it as well. I think
according to Spurs fans, he's not. Romero. Romero not in team. Where?
Yeah. I mean, but except that as well, I think Eriksen as a tactical signing as well, especially to if you're coming up against teams that play a low block. He is fantastic to have against a low block because he's one of those players who has, that intellect to actually, unlocking those sort of defenses. So Eriksen, I think, especially as a free transfer as well, we didn't pay anything for him. I think he was a good signing. Antony hasn't worked out. Like he's genuinely not worked out at all. Especially for 80 million. I know that it is not his, it is
just
not
pass
on
him. Antony, mate. Just fuck Antony. I can't even talk about that guy anymore. I'm just past fucking criticism or anything like.
With Mount, I'm still quite hopeful because I see what what he can bring to the table, and I've seen what he has done in the short time that he's gotten, and I've been impressed. And I think that given the Eriksen job with a more stabilized midfield, I think he can come really good for us. Okay, because I think he has the energy, he has the passing range, and every single ability in the locker to actually be a good player for Manchester United in the future. So Mount, I'm still hopeful with, but I think Onana hasn't worked out up until yet either, because he's the reason we are out of the Champions League. So there's still a lot of games that he has to cover up and make up for it. Onana, no. Antony, not at all. Eriksen, I would say, is a decent buy because he was a free transfer, and I think Lisandro is the best of the bunch.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Dan, if you say to Erik Ten Hag now, right, if every single person is fit at the club and ready to go, what is his best starting 11? Do you think?
His or mine?
Both.
Both.
Because he will definitely choose McTominay.
Yeah. What do you think? Even if still everyone's fit now, so obviously Casemiro's only just come back, so there's a bit of a blurred lines with the Tottenham game. But if everyone's fit, considering how everyone's been playing, you give me your best team then. Who do you think should start?
I think starting lineup, he will go with this Onana on the goal, and then right back, I think he will choose Tallo because we have seen that he prefers more
progressive.
From the right side. And definitely centre back pairing of Martinez and Varane, and left back Luke Shaw if he is fit. And in the midfield, Casemiro and Maino. I'm still not confident that much because he likes Eriksen to start there, but I'm not sure Maino how much attacking help he can provide.
I think he'd be good. Sorry to finger. I think he'd be good because he is naturally an 8, more so of a 6, and same with Casemiro. Likewise, I think he can dovetail in that position really well.
Personally, I would definitely start Maino over Eriksen because that gives more stability to that midfield.
Definitely.
And then Bruno Fernandes at the number 10 role, and right side Garnacho, up top Højlund, and left side Rashford.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with that. Would you make any changes to that, Shreyas, or do you agree with that? Yeah, I'd probably agree with that as well at the moment, at least. I mean, I don't want to see Wan-Bissaka at left back again. I don't know. I was questioning it all game. He didn't do bad. He weren't awful. I mean, Brennan Johnson didn't do anything.
I think Luke Shaw was a big. I think it was a.
He was a big
surprise for him. Yeah, it was a big surprise for him, and he knew that I can't play Dalot considering Pedro Porro is going to be playing from that flank, and so he knew he had to play Wan-Bissaka there. So I can't really, blame Ten Hag on that. I think it was the right call to make considering the situation. But yes, I would like to switch out Rashford for Pellistri.
Yeah, but that's never. But I think I don't know, Marcus. To be fair, he's not been great in terms of his performance. But the past few games, he's starting to get a couple of goals now and a couple of assists.
He's getting back on it. But one thing that irritated me a lot was after he scored that goal yesterday, he did the celebration. When he was going.
I spoke about that.
Yeah, and I was like, I said, mate, you scored one goal for the entire. Like, even if you look at your stats right now, you've just got 3 or 4 goals in the league and 1 assist, and that's not even an assist. It just ricocheted off, and then Højlund got the goal. So, what reason are you, doing that sort of celebration? It's not that you've, scored a hat trick of Spurs and you've won the game single-handedly.
I literally said on the pros and cons, I was like, if you scored back-to-back goals and then you get, a brace against Liverpool, or you score in the derby, or you score in a final like you did with the Carabao Cup, do all that all you want. Yeah, shut up, Mate, you scored 4 goals or something this season. What are you doing? Who are you shutting up? Focus on your game, man. I think these players get too genuinely carried away with like influence of social media and these kind of things. And Maguire, do you remember we did that against Albania when he scored? What the fuck are you doing? Like, it's so bizarre. Anyway, go on.
It happens with Ronaldo every time. Like he has the boost from the crowd and then he scores and then show these kind of gestures. But he scores in every game. But in this case, he has not. Rashford has not scored for last like 10-15 games, and then he suddenly scores 1 goal and then. And then tried to make that the fans were wrong in saying that. So that's like totally calling out for more opposition than in your favor, because I think when he scored, the whole stadium was happy, and then he does something like this just to call out.
And then he did, and then he started jogging around, and the whole stadium booed him.
Yeah, but then it's like that sets an example to the younger kids that are in that team, because Rasmus, Garnacho, Ahmad, Pellistri will probably all look up to him as he's the more senior figure. He's been at United. He's playing loads of games there. And they're like, he scored 4 goals and he's giving it all that. I tell you what, next time I score, if I get a chance, I'm going to give it all. I'm going to do that.
What should he be doing?
But do you know what? I did look at Galatasaray, because that's one of the worst places to go ever. Yeah. And when Garnacho scored, he was like that. And all the United players got around him. He was like, no, come on. Anthony was like, sorry. He's like, you're going to get fucking killed, mate. You need to fucking
I really wanted him to do that at Anfield, because he got a good opportunity as well there. If he scored that at Anfield.
He could have just gone like that. Oh my God.
Anthony, that Anthony is so much he's hot-headed, and Anthony is...
Even Anthony's like, you can calm down, mate. Jesus. Oh, God. Yeah, bit of a roller coaster this. Number 10. Are we ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Before you mention the question, I will say definitely McTominay will be there in that.
Say that. Go on. What did you say?
No, I'm saying before you mention the question, I would say McTominay will definitely be there in that answer.
Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. If you were the manager, what changes, if any, would you make to United's style to achieve better results?
I think I will swap out a lot of players and not even have them not even on the bench. But except that, I would just look to solidify our midfield line more, especially with the additions that are going to be coming in now. We've got a lot of players coming back from injury. Got Mount coming in.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that. The 4 players, so that the positions I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Who would you bring in to adapt to your style or to achieve better results?
I think centre backs I'm still quite okay with. Except that I would just offload Maguire, because I think for any top team you need, with the amount of games that you play per season, you need 3 top quality centre backs in there. So I would bring in a Todibo or Antonio Silva from to actually partner up with Lisandro, and if it is possible, then De Ligt I think would be by far the perfect to actually bring in. But I think that's just paper talk. So, but yes, I think a centre back like who has the ball playing ability of Lisandro, and actually someone who's got more height than Lisandro, because that is an aspect that actually helps Lisandro a lot with Varane, his height. So
Yeah.
I will pick that that sort of a profile in. Except that I think right back I'll just do an overhaul altogether. Like get rid of Dalo as well as Nagasaka, and bring someone like a Frimpong, someone who's blessed with pace, someone who's positionally quite decent, and at the same time, actually, per game he has got like 7 to 8 crosses per game into the box. So it will help out any striker, like especially Hoyland, who's very decent in the air. It will help him out a lot. Left back, I'm still quite okay with. I think Malacia is decent enough. When he'll be coming back, he'll be a good addition. I think Luke Shaw, when he's fit and when he's in form, he's one of the best players in the league, and we've seen that in quite a lot of instances. Um, Midfield, I'll stick with Bruno. I'll stick with Casemiro. I'll stick with Meno, but I'll get rid of McTominay. Mount, I'll still, I think he still deserves a chance because he hasn't got a decent run of games up until yet because of injuries. So Mount, I'm still
I
quite
agree.
hopeful with. But except that, I'll bring an out and out eight in. De Jong is still not possible. So I'd look someone like at Valencia. Javi Guerra is a player who's been getting, who's pretty decent and is a good talent. So a progressive eight who's quite mobile and very agile on the ball. That's the sort of player I'd like to go with in midfield. And except that, I think in the attack, Holland is quite decent. I'll look to get a veteran striker in who he can learn off from, because it's too much of a pressure situation for any youngster, especially someone who's just moved from Serie A to the Premier League, to actually have on his shoulders to carry an attack. Left wing, I Rashford, I think he'll still get a season, so Rashford will still stick there. Garnacho will be there, but I'll look to bring in a wide playmaker. If it is Olise is being mentioned a lot, but I'm still really not convinced that much by Olise. He's got an injury record as well, and I'm just not quite certain. And I think right now with the wingers department, by the end of the season, there will be a lot of opportunities for United to explore. So I think a wide playmaker, someone who's not that explosive winger who's just a goal scoring outlet. You need a playmaker in there to balance it out. So that's the sort of profile I'll go in attack with.
Love it. I've got one sound for you.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! Perez to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League.
Been a while since I've used them.
Yeah.
Dan, do you want to finish it off then? I mean, you can go through the squad if you want, but the 4 main targets, and 8 centre back, striker potentially, or anyone different if you'd go for a different position.
Yeah, at this point, I think a centre back at the first point. I like Todibo to be here.
Yes, I
Maybe
do.
I think today we were linked with Brathwaite also. So maybe like
He's
pacey,
he's decent.
yeah, more tenacious centre back as compared to Maguire and maybe
Yeah.
even Lindelof also. So just we need a backup for at least 1 or 2 seasons till when Varane is here. And left back, I'm still concerned with Malacia and Luke Shaw. I would, if you give me the authority, I will sell Malacia. And,
Concerned injury wise or ability wise?
injury wise.
Yeah.
So because they both are not dependable when it comes to injury, and at the same time they both got injured, and then you have to bring in a regular. I'm still not okay. I was still not okay with letting Regulan go, because we are at the half stage, and that's why we are ending up playing the right back on the left back, and that's I don't want to continue. And in the midfield, I think we are already stacked up with so many midfielders, but we need to give them chances when it comes to Kobe Mino, and then Mason Mount is there. But personally, Mason Mount, I'm saying this from the very starting also. When we bought Mason Mount is not a Manchester United player. I mean, I'm talking about the setup. The formation we play, Mason Mount will not fit in this setup. Maybe more like a Amrabat kind of player. I really expected a lot from Amrabat, but then he didn't.
Been disappointing, on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so happy when he was coming here, because the way he plays, that was kind of a like what Mino is doing now. He
Yeah.
used to do that before, and like that kind of a player. Maybe your De Jong can do a great job there. So if he get a chance, then why not? And then a striker. I think wingers on the winger side we are good. We are already and we are still connected with Olise, who plays on the right side, right? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want another
Yeah.
right winger there, and with already having like Ahmad, and I'm like happy that Garnacho is also working out there. But that's why I don't want to buy a new winger rather
Yeah.
than just.
If you're gonna buy a winger, don't spend 80 million. Just go for a 40 mil winger, just please. Because then if it doesn't work out, he's not this fucking catastrophic record breaking. Do you know what I mean?
Actually, and the last one is the striker. I think Benzema could have been a like icing on the cake if we get him now.
A lot of money now, innit?
And his wages, I don't think his wages will work out still
Nah,
because he
not
might
a
be earning a
chance.
lot
Yeah,
there.
just
and they won't
172 million.
Yeah. So I don't think Benzema will work out, but could have been a very good option for us. We need a kind of a Cavani kind of a player now just to teach
Yeah.
Højlund. And because you know that Højlund is there and he will be there at least for 4 to 5 years, and you need to bring him up and educate him more on that striking role, and you need a teacher rather than a player himself.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the question that we will leave you guys with. 4 players in summer with Ineos. Maybe we'll do a show around that as well. Who would you bring in and why to improve Manchester United? And also, do you think Erik ten Hag is still going to be there in the summer as well to kind of oversee or veto these transfers or whatever's going to go on? I think it's very interesting. The summer's going to be very interesting. The rest of the season isn't because just
Just 17 games, guys. We can do it.
Yeah, I put that in the pros yesterday.
Yeah.
There's 17 games left.
The 17
That's it,
games,
that's
guys.
it.
We blipped it under
17
Ragnick. We
games.
can do it again.
Come on.
Yeah,
Come on. We're going to
run
get a
it back.
loan at the end of this month. In 2 weeks today, we are going to sign a random loan that no one's heard about and everyone's going to pretend they know everything about, and it's going to be...
Weghorst just coming back.
Yeah. It's just Manchester United for you. Anyway, we'll leave you with them 4 questions. Let us know if you've enjoyed this video because we're going to start doing more stuff like this. A lot of work and analysis has gone into it, so I hope you do appreciate it. Smash like on the video, subscribe to Real Reds Talk, and drop us a follow on socials as well. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. We're absolutely everywhere. Just type in Real Reds Talk. Drop us a follow. Drop us a message as well. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone. Peace.